Welcome back to First Issues. A few episodes back, we started a limited series on some considerations to make when you're looking to invest in any particular country, but especially here in Africa, following the release of the Rand Merchant Bank's Where to Invest in Africa report of 2024. Our guest, Economist at First National Bank of Botswana, Gomolemo Basele, spoke of three pillars thus far, namely economic performance and potential, market accessibility and innovation, and economic stability and investment climate. Tonight he wraps up this series with a discussion on social and human development as being one of the key pillars of the considerations to make when looking to invest.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a key one. We go back to whatever activity you're interested in as an investor. You want to make sure that the requisite skills are available within that market. So it speaks to human development within that area, as well as the ease of maybe adapting some skills to the specific requirements that you need for whatever operation that you seek to get into. Another key area would be looking at income inequality within that market, as well as the cost of labor that you're likely to incur by operating within that market, and whether that fits in with your other operations in your base location, for example. And if it doesn't, what that would imply for your profits, I would imagine, as an overhead. So we also look at personal freedoms, as well as unemployment within that market, as well as the rate of unemployment over a few years will be something that an investor would also be interested in looking at, as well as earlier I had mentioned, the skills available within the market, because it speaks to essentially the labor that you're able to tap into as an investor when you take up root in whatever market that you've decided to set up in. But I think with all these pillars that we've spoken about and the subsections and the areas that we've all looked at, it's just a guide. So before any investment decisions are actually taken by an individual, we always recommend that further discussions should be undertaken with either research houses or their bankers, or individually looking deeper into this market and ensuring that it's actually a good fit for themselves.
I think it is quite, it's clear, really, most of the points that you have made, but one that I would like for you to further explain is the issue of unemployment and how it would impact whether or not an investor would want to put their money into whatever activity that they're looking into a particular market.
Unemployment, obviously, if you break it down, it would also be good to get a sense from an investor standpoint exactly which age group is unemployed, the skills that they hold. I think those would be the two critical ones. So ensuring that they basically align with your workforce in your base country in terms of age as well as the skills that they have. And if they don't, then it might be an area which you might wish to reconsider depending on your activity. So unemployment is key, definitely, as well as the rate at which it's growing. So why are these individuals now finding themselves without jobs? Does it speak to the economy slowing down, certain sectors facing pressure? These are all things that are interconnected with the other pillars that you'd also need to consider as an investor.
But then if, say for example, people are unemployed because of a lack of jobs, would then that not speak to an investor being able to set up, shop maybe within that specific sector to employ those people?
Absolutely. So it links back to our first pillar, so economic potential. Mm-hmm. So seeing these individuals that are unemployed, and depending on the reasons for unemployment, if it's through retrenchments, for example, for whatever reason, and depending on whatever industry they might have been working in, if an investor sees potential to grow that industry again, then they have this labor force that they can always tap into. Mm-hmm. So it links into the other pillars, and it also depends on what the investor is actually looking to do within this market. So that's why some areas might matter more to one investor than they do to another investor, for example.
So what would then be your overarching message after our discussion? We've spoken about 4 pillars so far.
So my overarching message to to potential investors would be to look beyond the surface, to scratch deeper. So this is just, as I said, just provides a good base for you to start your research into whatever market you might be interested in. But the idea really is to guide investors in terms of some of the key considerations they should take, as well as policymakers in terms of what some investors might actually be looking at when they look at certain markets, and where their respective markets fall when compared to other markets within the African continent, and what measures, or it gives them an idea that some measures might need to be taken along certain routes to make their own market more attractive. I think it's especially important in the context of the AfCFTA and in trying to determine comparative advantages, as well as developing industries along various markets. So it's a great starting point for an investor when deciding which market to invest in.